Video, I'm going to show you guys how to do the new rice crop in Farming Simulator. It's a pretty good beginner crop, you know. It's easy to scale quickly, but you know, since these are the biggest harvesters you can get, it's really hard to get a huge operation going. But it's definitely a good one to start a map on because it's pretty low cost to get into, relatively speaking. So the first thing you're going to want to do here is you're going to have to buy the equipment, obviously, right? So if you just go up to the store and then go to the rice category, you know, this is just stuff you need. You're going to need this is the only harvester they have. This is the only planter they have. This is for the short grain rice, by the way. And then any tractor trailer will work. I personally like these Challengers just because they're so much cheaper than everything else. They're only like 60K and they're just as strong. And then the trailer, you know, it doesn't matter too much. And then, you know, you're going to need the planter. It's the only planter they have. Pretty good equipment. They're pretty cheap, right? The harvester's only 95K and the planter's only 25K. I mean, you're spending more for that on a planter. And then you'll need some saplings to fill up the planter. And then solid fertilizer, not liquid, solid. It will take that, saves you a step, which is pretty nice. And then what you're going to want to do is you're actually going to have to create the rice field. So you're going to go into the store again, go down to the bottom, go to construction. Okay, scroll down to sculpting. Oh, no, my bad. Go to the second one here, and you're going to scroll down to cultivation. And then go down to rice field, okay? And now it's a little tricky on console. I think it's a little easier on PC, but you get kind of the middle of the map. It's kind of hard to see, but you're just outlining a field. So you click one spot there, and it starts making a line, right? And you want to make this as square as possible, otherwise it gets a little messy. And it's really hard to do over a field. You can do it anywhere, and you do have to be mindful because it will kind of create divots in the earth. So you don't want to get too close to edges, and then you just kind of square it off wherever you think you should do it, okay? And then also the pump is going to go where that first line is, I believe. So once you outline it, you're just going to hit square or whatever your equivalent button is, and you're going to finish it, okay? And then so that first line at the bottom there, that's where the pump is, right? So now you can get out. That's your rice field. Easy enough, right? So then what you have to do is you have to go to this pump and you have to turn it on. So then you just, you know, hit L3 and hit flood, okay? And it's gonna take a little bit of time, so I'm gonna speed it up here. 240 speed here. Yeah, it goes pretty quick. So it takes, I think, like an in-game hour or so. So you just kind of sit here until the pump's full. Okay, not too hard, right? So it's done. Just slow it back down, back to real time. So now we got a flooded field. As a note, it's only gonna say 65% water level. That's fine, that's all you need, okay? And then you can hop in your planter here. And then you just plant it, right? It's pretty easy. So then you're going to go through, you're going to plant it. I'm just going to have the AI do it, but he's just going to go through, he's going to plant that field, right? Not a problem at all. And then when you get to the next stage, so I'm going to show you here. So after this is another field I have over here that I got started, just to show you guys. Where's my pump at on this field? See, this is why you gotta kind of be mindful where you put the pump. You don't want to have to go looking for it every time. But as you'll see, this is the first stage of growing after a month or a day, in-game month, whatever, however you have that set. You do have to flood the field every day. So I'll go back in here and I'll flood it again, and you do that 2 or 3 times until it gets to the long stage, and then you don't have to anymore. But you do have to flood the field every day. So you'll flood it, sleep overnight or speed up time, flood it, sleep overnight, flood it, sleep overnight. You do that about 3 or 4 times, not too bad, okay? And then you do that a couple times, and you will get to the end stage, which looks a little bit like this, you know, ready to harvest, and then you just hop in the harvester, and you're good to go. These harvesters are pretty good. They're cheap, which is nice. They're not the biggest, but since they're so cheap, I mean, only 95K, that's not bad. If you're doing a 0 to hero, it's a good, pretty easy thing to get into. I mean, you only need enough money to build the field. You could probably get into it for, I don't know, 200K, because you technically don't even need the tractor until you're done with your first harvest, okay? A couple things to note, though. So after you're done harvesting, right, you're going to end up, your field's going to look like this. You do have to cultivate to plant the next thing. So I went ahead and did that on this field already. This one right here. This one I did a whole harvest on, okay, and then I had to get my cultivator out, and you have to cultivate the whole thing. Otherwise, it won't let you flood it again. So after you cultivate it, you know, you just flood it and restart the process. It's pretty easy. It sells decently well. Overall, I think it's a pretty good crop. I wouldn't say it's maybe the best crop, but it's a good starter crop. It's pretty fun, pretty unique. Um, and the equipment's pretty cheap, so you can scale it pretty well. I also like the harvesters and the planter since it's not a trailer. They maneuver really well, which is really good, especially for this because the AI won't get stuck. Especially because of the lumps and ridges that kind of naturally happen with these fields, right? I put 3 fields in one and look at the different levels, and you get these big lumps and these big walls when you're putting them in. So you got to be a little careful making the rice fields, but it's not too bad. The harvesters work pretty well. The sell price is pretty decent. So let's just look here at the prices. I can show you that. So if you go to the prices, our rice price, 3,000 per 3,000. That's pretty good. You don't get a ton, so I'm only at about 1,000 liters right now. So a full harvester is 2,000 liters. So, I mean, this field right here is not too big. You're going to get about 2 passes, so you're going to get about the full headlands are probably going to fill this thing up. I started already. Anyways, you can probably get like 6 or 7 or 8 full harvesters out of that, and that's going to be 6 times 6, 30, 40K, and it's not that big of a field. That's pretty good, especially with how cheap the harvesters are. You can, yes, they're small, but it'd be cheap enough to get like 2 or 3 of them running, especially if you're using AI effectively, right? So not too bad. And the nice thing is you can pretty easily do a couple small ones like this. Since you're creating the field, it's really easy to set that up, and then it's easy to keep it in stages. So you could have like this one on the left. You could set up for planting, right? You could flood and plant it, and then this one could be already at the next stage of growing. So then that day you just flood it, and then that one's at the next stage, so you flood that one, and the last one's for harvesting. And then you finish harvesting, bring the planter over to that one, and kind of keep the cycle going. Get the 4 or 5 fields on different stages, so you're not just sitting there waiting so much, especially if you don't have a farmhouse yet. But yeah, overall, it's a pretty good crop to start with. I would say it's maybe not the. I mean, obviously, you're not going to scale this too big, right? You can't have an absolutely ginormous farm of this effectively. I mean, you can obviously, it's up to you, but mostly you got to do it for fun. But it is a profitable crop. It's not like doing, logging with a controller where you spend like 4 hours and get like $2,000 and you invested $1 million, right? You're only going to be in the hole couple $100,000, and you're going to be able to get that out pretty quickly, right? You're buying a combine to do similar harvest yields, and you're going to be in the whole 600 grand just for the combine. So yeah, overall pretty fun, pretty good crop. I would recommend it. So that's for the short grain rice. The only difference with the long grain rice is you're actually going to use a normal grain harvester, and you're going to cultivate and plant before you flood it. So you're going to take the cultivate or the seeder, switch it to rice, and you're going to go plant, and then you flood it, and then go through the stages, and then use a normal combine to pull it out of the field. So if you already have grain going, it's pretty easy to do the short grain or the long grain rice. You just have to you just go through the same menu here with the construction and build the rice field, seed it, and then flood it. If you flood it first, then you use the rice planter. The advantage to that is, like I said, if you already have the equipment because you've been doing grains, that's great. The downside is it doesn't pay as well. I don't think it's worth it. I think if you're going to do it, it's 120K for the equipment you need for this. So just sell off the cheapest combine. You're already there, right? And you're going to get a better yield, better profit margin than the cheapest combine. So, like I said, good starter crop. Any questions? Feel free to leave them in the comments. Like, favorite, subscribe, all that good stuff. I'll get back to you if you leave it in the comments. But yeah, this is one of my more favorite crops, so I'm enjoying it. Anyways, thanks for watching, guys. Peace out.